A girl says I got her pregnant. I'm gay. Story 1. I, 19 male, live with my parents, who are well off themselves. Note, they pay for nearly all of my expenses, including my college, who are openly homophobic. I also have a best friend who is now called Kira. We've been friends since grade school. Kiera loves and is always out partying. This is significant to the story. I have a boyfriend named Jamie, 20 male. He and I have been dating for about a year. Note, he, Kira, and I are the only people who know. Now, about 7 weeks ago, Jamie had a party at his house and invited me and Kiera. Everyone was drinking. A drink I had that night was handed to me by Kira. I had 2 the whole night. I started feeling dizzy and nauseous. So since it was Jamie's house, I went to his room and lay in his bed, starting to fall asleep. Neat. I was fully clothed in this because Jamie helped me and saw me sleeping. That was what happened that whole night, and nothing else. However, this morning, Kira showed up at my parents' house saying I got her pregnant. As said before, she knows I am gay, and me and Jamie are together. My parents were surprised and asked what proof she had. She then proceeded to pull out her phone and show a picture of us naked, laying in Jamie's bed from the party 7 weeks ago. She then said we've been dating since we got out of high school. My parents were shocked and told us we needed to discuss what we would do and said that it was all my responsibility to raise a kid now. Kira dragged me to the living room and told me I had 2 options. I treat the babies. She's having twins, apparently. Like they are mine, or she outs me. She told me she got knocked up a while back at a party, and it is 6 weeks exactly, and she didn't know who the real father is, so it would be in my best interest to help your best friend out. So I am currently sitting here locked up in my room, debating whether I devote the rest of my life to kids who aren't mine as well as a woman I've lost all trust in, and make everyone else happy, or come out to my parent and tell them about Jamie, almost guaranteed to be disowned and lose all the savings they used have for me, including my college tuition and various other things, like living space. So I have come to a place where many people ask for advice on what to do. Story 2. My great-grandmother had a daughter who was stolen from birth. My great-grandmother had 4 daughters, but she swears she had 5. In the early 1940s in Louisiana, my great-grandmother went into labor. My grandma and her 2 sisters left with their father to allow their mother to give birth. My great-grandmother delivered her 4th daughter. The birth was a difficult one, but became much harder when the doctors told her another baby was coming. My great-grandmother's account of this is that she was very coherent. The first birth was exhausting, and the second was far worse. She states that the twin was delivered, and the team that delivered the baby went wide-eyed. They looked at each other with uncertainty, and one of the nurses screamed upon seeing the twin. The twin was immediately rushed out of the room, and my great-grandmother passed out from exhaustion. She woke up and immediately began asking for her babies, asking if the second was okay. Those who delivered the babies told her she only had 1 baby and assured her that it was okay, and that she must have imagined the twin being born. My great-grandmother always stood by her story. She knew she had twins that day. Fast forward 10 years, my grandmother and grandfather took their 4 daughters to a traveling circus in Louisiana. Featured in this circus was a freak show. Halfway through the show, a 10-year-old girl with no arms or legs was carried on stage and placed on a stool to be gazed upon and introduced as a child born in this very town. The whole family could not take their eyes off this young girl on stage, for she was the spitting image of the youngest child in the family. After the show, my great-grandmother searched for this girl but could not find her. On her deathbed, my great-grandmother swore that the girl in the show was the daughter she was told never existed, her 5th child. Story 3. I have to poop. Okay, some background. I shit a lot, like 3 to 4 times a day, and when I have to poop, usually there is no holding it. January 2020, Seoul Air Base, South Korea. It was a cold January morning. and the sun had just started to rise. As I finish my bacon burrito and smoke my Newport 100, I feel a bowel movement form. I walk to the bathroom as I sip on my ice-cold Red Bull and sit on the ice. Cold toilet, only to release a large fart. I sit there for another 10 minutes, waiting for the movement, but nothing. I wipe, pull up my pants, wash my hands, and make my way to the helicopter. I climbed to the chopper and headed to another base. There were 8 of us on this journey, the pilots, Pound, and more. The crew chiefs Eddie and Hootie and John, Bullrook, Doris, and myself. The helicopter takes off, and the vibrations loosen up the donkey. 5 minutes into the flight, I officially had to poop, and I was using all my willpower to hold it. We are at 7,000 feet above sea level at most 6 Celsius, and I'm sweating bullets from holding the poop in. I can feel myself close to shitting my pants. I think to myself, this cannot be happening. I am not about to drop a deuce in my drawers at 7,000 feet in an aircraft full of people. I inform the people around me that I am minutes away from shitting my pants. Doris reaches into his backpack and pulls out a beanie telling me to shit in that. It is a step up from my underwear. Squatting, pants now around my ankles, and holding the soft fleece beanie under my ass. And suddenly, I can't shit. Is this stage fright? Finally, I can shit. A euphoric relief overcomes my body. I feel 10 lighter. The beanie is 5%, and it smells god-awful. The smell fills the entire cabin and the cockpit. Everyone is scrambling for whatever fresh air they can get. Without thinking, I open the floor cargo hook access door and drop the beanie full of my shit. Everyone was filled with relief as the smell dissipated swiftly. All at once, we are overcome with pure fear. There is a large shit hurling towards a densely populated area, south of Sewell. All I can imagine is some poor souls were hit with my shit, all because I couldn't hold it. Story 4. How my grandmother dodges death like it's nothing in Wyatt. My great-grandma had just escaped from an abusive father at a young age and was roaming the jungles of the Philippines. In the night, while she was sleeping, she was captured by a battalion of Japanese soldiers. For a month, every day was hell. She was forced to clean and cook for them. Sometimes, she got hit by the butts of their rifles and was once raped by them. After having enough, she devised a plan. In the morning, the day started with her picking ingredients for supper. Sinigang with a side dish of poison. She waited and waited and waited in her prison. Finally, night came and then served the soup. Her captors grew unusually and quickly tired and slept on the ground. Then, my badass grandmother slit their throats. She packed up with gold and treasures and ran north. There were mountains that Filipino guerrillas often used for sniping Japanese. Hence, they avoided that area. As soon as she came to the foot of the mountain, 2 Filipinos came to her aid. For 4 months, she worked with the Filipinos, not as a maid, but as a messenger. There were 3 camps. Their camp, the American camp, and the camp closest to the highway to Manila. Every few days, she delivered messages, ammo, tea, coffee, and sugar with a small group of fellow Filipinos to other camps. Then, they would return with intel about the whereabouts of the Japanese. One day, they were about to cross the bridge when a small parade of Japs marched through it. Their group hid in the bottom, only to find 2 traumatized Americans with rifles held to their chests. They assured me they were locals and described the situation above. One gave her 2 grenades, telling her to throw them in their supply. He was not going to do it. Grandma exited the bridge and threw the grenades in their horse-driven carriage. It went boom, like a big boom. Unfortunately, it did not kill all the Japanese, but they were shot by the snipers in the mountain. Later, the traumatized Americans returned to their camp, safe. The commander asked what happened, and they told him the story. My grandma was given an award, a medal which she still holds. Now, she's 86 and is still as badass as she had always been. Story 5. My friend is a flat earther, an ignorant one for that matter. A friend of mine and I have been debating about this for a while, but today is when I said, "Oh God, you're stupid." He's been not only talking about how the earth is flat, but also about how the moon and sun are. He goes a notch higher to think that the planets don't exist and that there are no satellites in space. He thinks the sun and moon move around the earth. The earth is stationary. Well, according to him, he's certain that Earth is the only planet with life. While that may be true, it's a long stretch to speak with such certainty as we don't yet have the technology to confirm that. He's a learned guy, and if I ask him to back his claims, he says about how scientists are liars and how they just tell people things to mislead them. While I know it's true, the government and scientists may cooperate to lie about some sensitive issues. I don't find any reason to lie about the shape of the Earth. He said he's going for a 5-month research period, and he'll be back to debunk my supposed lies theories. Well, I'll be prepared for him, but I don't think I can argue with someone with such a made-up mind. I just told him to carry out his research to get the truth, and not intend to prove his point. Story 6. I will never take a shit at school or someone's house. Here's why. So this takes place back in high school, a long time ago. I was in class, and I wasn't feeling too good that day. I wish I were kidding. I do, but I'm not. I have a bowel disorder with the intestines, but I will not get into that. But I was in class and didn't shit for about a week and a half, if I remember correctly. I had to take a shit, really fucking bad. My stomach was aching so badly, I would never shit at someone's house or school. Except for that day, I thought, fuck it, I'll take a shit in the bathroom. It's going to be the biggest shit anyone has seen, but most likely they'll have no idea who it was. So I asked the teacher to use the bathroom, took a hall pass, and was on my way. I got into that bathroom, but nobody was in it at the time. Thank God. And I immediately ran to the stall, closed it, locked it, dropped my pants, and sat on the toilet. About 5 to 7 seconds later, there it goes. It was 30 seconds of pushing, and one came out, and then another. I could smell the defecation as soon as it hit the water in the toilet, and it wasn't very good. This wasn't going to flush. There's no way. But then a student walked in. My heart sank from my chest to my ballsack, probably. I was genuinely terrified. The student walked right in. He said, "Oh God, what the fuck is that?" He took a piss and left as quickly as possible. I sat on the toilet for the next few minutes. My stomach was aching, but I also felt relief. No, I didn't flush it. Didn't even try. I knew it would clog. I didn't want anyone to suspect it was me in even the slightest. I eventually left the bathroom and walked back to class. I was in there for a bit, so the teacher said I was late on the way back. With some quick thinking, I tell her, "I'm sorry, miss. I won't lie to you. My friends walked in and we got caught up in silly conversation." She replies, "Well, at least you're telling the truth. I appreciate that. But you're behind on work." I went back to my desk and finished my stuff. Nobody knew who took this giant shit in the toilet and left it there. I went home that day and did things a teenager does at home after school. Usual shenanigans. Took a piss, video games, half. Asked my homework, busted a nut, all that stuff. Went back to school the next day. My first thought was, I'm going to that bathroom to see if that shit is still there and if the janitors did anything about it. So I walked in, and that entire stall had a sign that read out of order the toilet was closed up and everything. I was dying of laughter. It was hilarious. I tried so hard to contain my laughter, which I did. I thought it was fucking hysterical coming back the next day and seeing that same toilet out of order the next day. It stayed like that for maybe another month. And to this very day, nobody had any idea who did it. This was one of the weirdest but funniest high school experiences ever. Thanks for sticking with it to the end. I really appreciate that. Hope you enjoyed the video. A thumbs up from you would be great. Feel free to write your thoughts in the comments. It's interesting for everyone. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell to stay up to date. Have a great day and see you soon.